It's no secret that the Atlanta Falcons have had tons of issues holding on to big leads in recent years. Every team will experience blown leads every so often, but the Atlanta Falcons have found a way to do it more times than anyone, and it's basically what they'll be remembered for during this Matt Ryan era unless things change quickly. But what makes this happen? What makes a team with so much talent let these giant leads slip away over and over again? To answer that question, we're going to go back and look at some of the recent examples of the Atlanta Falcons collapses, why they happened, and if there's some type of trend with each of them. We'll be looking at a few games from this 2020 season versus Chicago, Dallas, and Detroit, and of course we have to address the mother of all blown leads, aka Super Bowl 51. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like and subscribe if you do, and let's get into it. In week 2 of the 2020 season, the Falcons jumped out to a 29-10 lead over Dallas. At that point, they had over a 97% chance of winning that game. During the fourth quarter, they led 39-24 with 7 minutes and 57 seconds remaining, this time giving them a 99.8% chance of winning that game. First, Dallas gets the ball on their own 25 and drives 75 yards in just 3 minutes to make it a 9-point lead for Atlanta with just under 5 minutes left. Dallas decides to go for 2, and get this, their conversion was unsuccessful, meaning Atlanta now had a 2-possession lead with under 5 minutes remaining. Their percent chance of winning this game, by the way, was over 98% at this moment. Next, Atlanta's offensive sequence went a 6-yard rush where the clock stopped, a 4-yard rush for a first down. Dallas lost a challenge on the spot of the ball and had 1 timeout remaining after that, so there's no way they lose this game. There was a rush for -3 yards with just 4 minutes and 44 seconds remaining. The last timeout by Dallas was called. Matt Ryan was then sacked on a 2nd and 13, and a 3rd and long check down led to an Atlanta punt with 3 minutes and 8 seconds left, still a 9-point game. Dallas's drive starts on their own 24, down 9 with 2 minutes and 57 seconds remaining. Atlanta benefits from a huge passing play called back by an illegal blindside block by CeeDee Lamb. Dallas later scores on a quarterback sneak to make it a 37-39 game with 1 minute 49 seconds remaining and no timeouts left for Dallas. The Cowboys then recover an onside kick that never should have happened in a million years. I'd honestly fire the special teams coordinator right on the spot for what happened here. The players should know that if the ball crosses the 45-yard line, it becomes a live ball and can be recovered, and legitimately 5 players on the Falcons hands team decided to watch the ball, let it cross the 45, and watch the Cowboys recover the football. A big catch by CeeDee Lamb brought it into field goal range, and Dallas ran down the clock to kick a game-winning 46-yard field goal to come back in a game where they had less than a 3% chance of winning for majority of the second half. So what went wrong for Atlanta in this game? This one's easy. Just recover the damn onside kick and you leave Dallas with a victory and go 1-1 on the season. Their defense did let up some big chunk plays, but the lack of a special teams recovery was the main issue with this one. And losing a game like this, especially early on in the year, and even with some guys still left on that 2016 team, this definitely was a snowball effect going forward, because the very next week in a home game versus the Bears in week 3, Atlanta had a 26-10 lead entering the fourth quarter. This could not happen 2 weeks in a row, could it? Well, early in the fourth quarter, Nick Foles threw a desperation pass that went through the hands of Falcons defensive back Isaiah Oliver as it landed in the hands of Jimmy Graham for a 1st and goal opportunity. On 3rd and goal for Chicago, yet another pass went through the hands of Isaiah Oliver. This possible interception was a tougher catch, but still catchable nonetheless. And then on 4th and goal from the 17-yard line, just think about that, 4th and goal, 17-yard line, Foles finds Anthony Miller down the seam for what looked like a touchdown, but after the touchdown was reviewed, it turned out it hit the ground and the call was reversed. So now the Falcons catch a huge break and take over with the ball on their own 17-yard line, up 16 points with 10 minutes to go in the ballgame. At this point, Atlanta had a 99.7% chance of winning this game, but Falcons gonna Falcon. The Falcons offense went run, pass, and went 3 and out, only taking a little over a minute off the game clock. The Falcons defense then allowed a 4th and 6 conversion to Ted Ginn on a corner route, but still had the game very much in control at that point. Later, Falcons safety Jalen Hawkins was called for a hit on a defenseless receiver, giving Chicago a 1st and goal opportunity. Jimmy Graham then hauled in a touchdown with 6 minutes and 20 seconds remaining, and an unsuccessful 2-point conversion following left it at a 10-point game, which was a huge break to keep it at a 2-possession game. Although this was the same thing that happened at Dallas the week prior. The Falcons' ensuing offensive drive went run, pass, and both passes fell incomplete, meaning barely any any time came off the clock. With around 4 minutes and 30 seconds remaining, the Falcons secondary did what they do best, allowing Allen Robinson to score a 37-yard touchdown on a curl route that resulted in multiple missed tackles, and all of a sudden it was a 3-point game with 4 minutes and 21 seconds remaining. The Falcons offense next drive went incomplete pass, dropped screen pass, false start, and incomplete pass, meaning a grand total of 11 seconds came off the clock in that drive, leaving the Bears with over 4 minutes to go to come down and win it. Then, to make it worse, when the Falcons punted, they had another penalty costing them 15 yards of field position. Then on a 3rd and 8 from 28 yards out, it was Anthony Miller again, this time completing a catch and taking a 30-26 lead over Atlanta, meaning that the Bears scored 20 unanswered points in a span of 4 minutes and 27 seconds. A Matt Ryan interception with just over a minute left would ultimately be the end of the game, meaning Atlanta went back-to-back weeks of losing a game with over a 99.7% chance of winning. Now, for this game, there was a ton of reasons they lost. The drop interceptions by Oliver early in the 4th quarter, they had multiple personal foul penalties that resulted in 15 yards, the terrible missed tackles on the Allen Robinson touchdown, a terrible defensive play call on the Anthony Miller touchdown where there was no safety help on a 3rd and 8, and of course one of the Falcons' late offensive drives only taking 11 seconds off the game clock while trying to preserve the lead. So really you can blame just about everyone for that loss. And lastly, in 2020, this one was an all-timer at home versus the Detroit Lions. So to lay out the scene for you guys, the Falcons have the ball with 1 minute and 12 seconds left to go in the game on the Lions' 10-yard line, meaning they're 10 yards away from scoring a touchdown. Atlanta was only down by 2 points, so realistically they could have kneeled the ball a couple times, kicked an easy field goal with Younghoe Koo, and get out of there with the victory. But once again, the Falcons gonna Falcon, Dan Quinn gonna Dan Quinn, and Dirk Koetter gonna Dirk Koetter. Rather than taking the obvious advice and kneeling the ball, they run the ball up the middle with Todd Gurley, and instead of going down at the 1 like he was trying to do, Gurley falls into the end zone, giving the Lions offense the ball with over a minute left to go. And of course, the Lions offense goes down and scores on the final play of the game as the clock expired, and hand the Falcons their 3rd loss of 2020 in a game where their win probability was over 95%. This one you can chalk up to a lack of execution of a simple game plan, which was don't score a touchdown, but they failed to do that as well. But even when Detroit got the ball back, Atlanta allowed 2 big plays over the middle of the field, and Atlanta's defense had too much of a concerted effort to guard the sidelines instead. And I get trying to keep the Lions offense in bounds and keep the clock running, but you also can't allow them to go more than half the distance of the field on 2 plays over the middle of the field. So during the 2020 season, the Falcons went into their Week 10 bye at a record of 3-6, but easily could have switched that around and been 6-3 if they just closed out these games and be fighting for a playoff spot in the second half of the season. Instead, they went on to finish the year at 4-12. And now, Super Bowl 51, a game where the Falcons had a 98.7% chance of winning their first Super Bowl in franchise history. As you may remember, Tevin Coleman caught a swing pass to extend the Falcons' lead to 28-3 with 8 minutes and 31 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. The Patriots would not find the end zone until 2 minutes and 6 seconds left in the 3rd quarter, making it a 28-9 deficit after a missed extra point attempt by Stephen Gostkowski. On the next Falcons offensive drive, they were set up with a 2nd and 1, but a holding call on left tackle Jake Matthews forced them into an eventual 3-and-out, only taking 2 minutes and 15 seconds off the game clock. On the Patriots' first drive of the 4th quarter, Brady hit Malcolm Mitchell and Martellus Bennett for big plays and found themselves in a goal-to-go situation. Falcons defensive tackle Grady Jarrett came up huge with 2 sacks in a span of 3 plays, holding New England to a field goal to make it a 28-12 Atlanta lead with 9 minutes and 44 seconds remaining in the game. It was technically a 2-possession game, but Atlanta still had a 99.8% chance of winning at that point. The Falcons took over offensively with a little over 9 minutes remaining, and the thing that bothered me here was the amount of time left when they were snapping the ball. Instead of running the play clock down to under 3 seconds or so, they snapped the ball on 2nd down with 9 seconds on the play clock and then 15 seconds left on the play clock on 3rd down when the game clock was running, essentially giving the Patriots offense 40 more seconds to come back when your number one job should be to waste time at that point. On the 3rd down play, Matt Ryan fumbled on a missed assignment by running back Devontae Freeman, and now New England took over down 16 on the 25-yard line of Atlanta. New England picked up a key 3rd down and 11 with 7 minutes remaining on a play where it looked like Falcons cornerback CJ Goodwin slipped out of his break. Danny Amendola found the end zone with just under 6 minutes remaining and a successful 2-point conversion to make it an 8-point Falcons lead with 5 minutes and 56 seconds remaining. A great kickoff by Stephen Gostkowski basically forced Justin Justin Hardy to run out of bounds at his own 10-yard line, giving Atlanta terrible field position on their next drive. But on the very next play and first play of that drive, Devontae Freeman redeemed himself, picking up 38 yards through the air and getting near midfield. On the next play, the Falcons inexcusably snapped the ball with 19 seconds remaining on the play clock, then snapped it at 13 seconds, but this was the play where Julio Jones made an unreal catch to set up Atlanta at the Patriots' 22-yard line with 4 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. There's just no way you can screw this up. Atlanta literally could have kneeled the ball once again 3 times, make New England burn all their timeouts, and take an 11-point lead with a Matt Bryant field goal. But this is where the game really turned, in my opinion. On 2nd and 11, Matt Ryan was sacked for a 12-yard loss, which is one of the last things you could afford to do in that spot for the Falcons offense. But on the bright side, the clock kept running and they were still somewhat in field goal range on the 35-yard line. Then on 3rd and 23, instead of just doing a draw play, Jake Matthews was called for holding, which might go down as the crucial yet most forgettable play from this game, and now the Falcons were well out of field goal range on New England's 45-yard line. So just to remind you guys, the Falcons had the ball on New England's 22-yard line, and Atlanta's offense just went backwards 23 yards and got themselves out of field goal range. An incompletion by the Falcons on 3rd and 33 forced a punt, and New England took over on their own 9-yard line with 3 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. With about 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining, Julian Edelman made that catch where he had about 3 Falcons defenders all over him and the ball was inches from hitting the ground, maybe even centimeters. And it was at this point where you said to yourself, oh my god, this is really going to happen. James White punched it in with about 57 seconds remaining, and New England's 2-point conversion made this once insurmountable 28-3 deficit into a 28-28 tie game with under a minute left remaining. With New England not tying the game until 57 seconds remained, it makes you wonder how many seconds the Falcons wasted by snapping the ball way too early offensively in those moments earlier in the fourth quarter. Maybe if they ran the clock down all the way, New England does not have a chance to come back in this game, but we may never know. Atlanta did take over offensively with about 52 seconds remaining, but did nothing with it, and this game was headed to overtime as New England won the toss, and basically the rest was history. Devondre Campbell's pass interference put New England at the 1-yard line, and a couple plays later, a toss to James White put an end to the biggest blown lead in Super Bowl history. And I really don't see that one being replicated. A Super Bowl like that is something you'll see only once in your lifetime as far as I'm concerned. So what the heck went wrong in this one? Oh boy. Well, first off, you'd have to think that Atlanta got severely outcoached, whether it was Atlanta's clock management on offense by snapping the ball too soon, or all of the little things the Patriots did, like strategically placing their kickoffs on the goal line and giving the Falcons bad field position. The penalties against Atlanta were huge as well. Jake Matthews had a pair of holding calls, one that knocked them out of field goal range where they could have went up by 2 possessions, and even the pass interference play by Devondre Campbell to put New England at the 1-yard line in overtime definitely played a huge role. Defensively, Atlanta made things way too easy. The secondary was atrocious, allowing Tom Brady to throw for 246 yards in 1 quarter and an 80% completion percentage during that time. Their pass rush got there sometimes, but it was pretty inconsistent during the final quarter, if I'm being honest. You have to tip your cap to the Patriots, of course, but Atlanta had so many self-inflicted errors that it's hard to completely say they got outplayed. Even in the games they lost in 2020, just think about the ways they beat themselves. Todd Gurley accidentally scores a touchdown when he was supposed to fall, not recovering an onside kick in a Dallas game when a handful of guys easily could have recovered it for Atlanta, and in the Bears game, a terrible defensive play call on the Anthony Miller touchdown, as well as a pair of missed tackles on the Allen Robinson touchdown a bit earlier. Unfortunately, Atlanta has not made the playoffs since 2017, and over the past 3 seasons have gone a combined 18-30. With Matt Ryan and Julio Jones getting up there in age and a new coaching staff and GM coming in, some speculated they may take a quarterback with their 4th overall pick in 2021, but as we know, they opted to go with Kyle Pitts, the tight end out of Florida, and prolong this Matt Ryan era even more. And with Falcons owner Arthur Blank now 78 years old and owning the team for almost 20 years, I don't think this man is interested in rebuilding. He's going to ride this Matt Ryan-led team until the wheels fall off. The stench of former head coach Dan Quinn and all the blown leads were finally wiped away from this team, so maybe a new identity will help change things for Atlanta going forward. So all in all, the art of choking by Atlanta does not come from just one place or one person, but many cases would have been avoidable with better football IQ and execution. Hopefully for Falcons fans, this is all behind them and we'll see what they do in 2021 under new head coach Arthur Smith. Once again, leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you guys next time.
you.